Hello, I'm Gregory. This is 1 in 20 D&D, and this will be DnDaily number 27. How's everybody doing today? Sorry, I'm being a little silly there. How are you doing today? I am having a great Saturday, and we had an awesome session yesterday. Wow, am I glad I did that little bit of prep the other day, kind of figuring out the character and the NPC for this session. It worked out fabulously, and I'm really happy with how everything went. However, I made some mistakes, and I'm in reflecting on the session and what I did that I liked and what I did that I did not like. I thought that today I should talk a little bit about handling mistakes. So here's what I did, and I don't feel good about it. Well, it worked out okay, but I feel like I could have handled it better. So I feel like I made this mistake. Yesterday, it was the very end of the fight. The NPC was fun to play. The players were interacting with him. The characters were interacting with him, and they were kind of like goofing, like cursing each other, and it was an awesome confrontation. So that worked great. When it got down to like the very end of the session, they chased down the bad guy to basically the back of his lair and had him cornered. They engaged him, and I had him use a wand, and I realized that was after I had him do that. I realized that that's not what I wanted him to do, because he was way down on hit points, and he had someone right next to him, and I had set in my mind earlier that if someone was right next to him, he had the ability to cast Vampiric Touch, which makes sense because then he could get some hit points back. And I had missed it earlier. I had wanted to do it like several turns back when one of the player characters was right next to the NPC. And I missed it, but it seemed okay in the moment. I thought, okay, well, maybe he'll get another chance. And then when he had that chance, I didn't take it. And I had him use a wand instead. And I realized in the moment after I did it, I'm like, oh no, I made a mistake. I didn't mean to have him do that. And I said it at the table, and I said, I was like, gosh, maybe I should retcon this. And I thought about it. I actually started to roll dice and change things a little bit. And then I realized, and then I said something. And I was upfront with the players about this. I told them what I was doing. And then I realized, wait a minute. I've just, excuse me, I've just done something. I got a little dry throat there for a moment. Excuse me. I had them do something that was out of character. I had him do something that was out of character. Wow, I'm sorry. I had a little coughing fit there. I had to stop for a second, so forgive me. And what I was saying is that I had, in the moment, I was gonna retcon this instance, and I realized while I was sitting there and about to change things that I was like, wait a minute, this isn't the right thing to do. And I basically said as much. I'm like, you know what? I shouldn't be changing anything. I called out that he was going to use this wand, and that's what he should do. And here's why. In that moment, he was under pressure, he was stressed, he was almost dead. That's how you act in those moments. That's how a person acts in those moments. So it fit the narrative. It was the right thing to do. He made a mistake, legitimately. It was me, Gregory, as the DM. I made a mistake, but in the narrative, it actually made sense that the NPC made a mistake. When he could have done A, he did B. And that's what happens in real life. That actually that's what we do. Sometimes when we're under pressure, we nail it. We get the bullseye. Other times when we're under pressure, we snap our bowstring and completely miss. So in the session, I said I was going to retcon it, but then I decided not to. And I told him, I said after after like everything settled down, I'm like, here's what I was thinking. I had wanted him to do Vampiric Touch. However, I said he was going to use the wand, and that makes sense. And I want to stick with your first choice. It's the golden rule that I always, when I second guess myself, I make mistakes. And that's how I felt last night. So the way I handled it in the moment is I backtracked again. I backtracked the second time, essentially. I said originally I backtracked once and said, oh no, I feel like I want to retcon this. But then I backtracked the second time and said, no, that's not the right thing to do. This is what I said he was doing. Let's stick with that. So going forward, what I want to do is I realize that I should have a little bit better idea of what the skills and abilities and spells that each NPC or monster has, so that during the session, in the heat of the moment, I can make better decisions on the fly. And all it would have taken is for me, the DM, to take 10 or 15 more seconds, take a breath or 2 or 3, and think like, okay, he's backed against the wall, he's low on hit points, what would he do? I really just needed to take that extra couple seconds, but I got caught up in the excitement of the moment and made a mistake. And it's okay, and I realize that I've done this in other sessions, in other play sessions on, different games. I do it as a player occasionally too. And I think it's okay, and I feel like the lesson I took from this is to go with the flow. Whatever happens at the table, let it happen. Retconning stuff is silly. If it's something simple that you overlooked and missed, and it's easy to adjust, that's one thing. But when it's a big deal, let the story play itself out as it plays itself out. And recognize, and I'm telling this to myself, really. I'm sharing it with you guys, but I'm telling it to myself. I need to let the story flow and follow the natural rhythm of whatever happens, because that's the way it is. They faced zombies, and not one of the zombies used its undying fortitude, or whatever it's called, where they are able, some people call them weeble wobbles, because like a zombie can go to 0 and then pop back up at 1 hit point if it makes basically a constitution check. And I missed that. No, I didn't miss it. I did it every time they took out a zombie, but the zombies all passed their checks. So that's the way it goes sometimes, And I need to be more fluid and flow with that and be okay with it when it happens, because it is okay when it happens, and just let things go. If you make a mistake in the game, in the session, be okay with it. Let it roll, let it go, especially if the narrative is moving forward in a great way and the story is exciting, then stick with your guns. Whatever happens, whatever you roll, stick with that. Let the chips fall as they may. That's what I picked up from this. And where I felt pretty good about the personality of the character, what I learned from this session was I need to also be just a little bit more familiar with the spells, skills, and abilities of the NPCs, especially if it's an important NPC, as this kind of was. So that's my thought for today. That's basically what I found from making a mistake, how I'm going to handle my mistakes in the future. I'm going to let them roll, I'm going to let them flow, and I'm going to stick with, if I make a mistake, I'm going to play it as if that's the mistake that the NPC, the monster, whatever made. And that's the way it goes. And be okay with it. And I'm okay with it. I'm cool with how it went yesterday. I think it was awesome. And now I've got tons and tons and tons of editing to do, because I'm working on something fun for you all. And I'm dealing with Battletech and all this other stuff. And it takes a lot of editing. So I'm going to get back to that. This was my DnDaily for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for stopping in. See you at a table someday. Keep rolling 20s.